Arena! Hey, Chris in the house with another Raid Shadow Legends video. And today, guys, we're going to show you something interesting. We are currently under the Shaw's Wake event, and while this is happening, we are having an event dungeon here. Urost, the boss of this event dungeon, is not an easy one, and some people are having trouble with beating her, and at the same time it's a really important event to farm because of this PinPoint set. This is the only source on the game. There's some events sometimes, deck of fates and things like that, but to get a huge number of accessories and pieces from PinPoint set, which is a really meta set, gives you speed, accuracy, and the intercept stacks, the only way is farming these event dungeons. This is the third time that we got an event dungeon, so it's not something really common. It only shows up in the game around 3 months, so really important to farm it, and that's what we're going to talk about today. We are going to discuss 3 teams to farm these event dungeons. One more easy and achievable, one midterm, and one more endgame, harder to achieve, better timing. So we're going to discuss every little detail about these 3 teams, how they work, and how to manage to do it. Let's go. Oh, by the way, we are also having at the tournaments the Urost's Conquest tournament here, which give you the chance of farming Twisted Horns, epic versions that are the materials to forge the relics from the Shaw's Wake event, which is good to get some, at least, because we never know if this is going to come back to the game ever. For example, we had the Cat's Gaze on the Alice's Adventure for the first time, event dungeon opened, and we never had a Cat's Gaze opportunity after that, and it's a really impactful relic, like game-changing relic. We don't know if these relics that we have right now on the Shaw's Awakens are going to be as much impactful as the Cat Gaze was on Alice's Adventure, but for safety, it should be good for you to farm at least a few of them if you're able to, in case they are good. So it's good to do points on these tournaments too. So let's go to the team. Let's start with budget version 1. This team only has one champion that is mandatory here, Urost. The others are not mandatory. Why they are here? Because they were easy to build, and I didn't want to spend a lot of resources, so I just throw them here, and they are able to do the service. What's the idea of this team? I'm going to show you at the 1x. The Bells is here for no particular reason. I'm just using him to use a bolster set to give more damage to the Seer Explode buffs, and for the accuracy aura, because helped me to achieve the stats that I need. Lydia starts the battle. She uses the A2 to decrease defense and weaken on the bosses and the minions. Then the horse goes nuke some of them, take some of their HPs. Then the Seer goes and explodes everybody. After the Seer explodes everybody that survives, the boss transforms and it nukes, kills everybody, only Urost survives. Then Urost solo the boss. Let's take a look at it. Here it goes, the explosion. The boss transforms. Then he kills everybody. Then it's Urost against the boss. And Urost's passive, when he's heated, he lands poison on the heater. So we build him in a way that he's not going to die easily. He can handle the boss, and he's going to deliver. Look the amount of poisons. Look at the amount of poisons. And it's going to be like that the entire run. The boss is going to massacre him, but he will not die. Thanks to the way he's built. There are some tricks around it that I'm going to explain to you. Every time she gets a turn, a lot of poison damages goes on there. That's it. Let's do it in a full run time to see the normal time of the run. This is the run running its normal time. With this strategy, it's going to solo the boss around 2 minutes. This Urost team. It's 100% chance. It's not going to fail if you reach the stats that I'm going to show you. Which are not crazy, but not necessarily very early game at the same time. This is the normal timing of this run. As you see, all the damage comes from Urost. Poisons here. For sure, the Marius did a lot of damage when they destroyed the wave with the Seer, but on the boss, all the damage came from the Urost. And that's how we beat this run. 100% chance of winning, and around 2 minutes. What is necessary here? This is what I'm going to show you here. First, on the team setup, this boss needs 515 for you to land the debuffs on them. And this boss has a media of speed of 300. So, the champions that are going to play to destroy the waves need at least 515 to land their debuffs on the waves, and to be faster than 301 to play before the waves. The Lydia with 334, and more than 500 accuracy when we count the accuracy aura. That's why Bells is here. Bells is here just for the accuracy aura, because I didn't want to spend a lot of resources building the champions. So I put an accuracy aura to help that. The horse is 216 just to go there and do damage. The seer is 301. She just go there and drop the damage. You don't need very high damage dealing stats on these champions. With this amount of buffs and debuffs, they will just destroy the waves. You don't necessarily need to use Lydia. You don't necessarily need to use the horse. You don't necessarily need to use bells. You can use any accuracy aura that helps you to improve. It can be also a speed aura if you have more easy way of doing the team's speed. If you use the speed aura, I prefer to use the accuracy aura to do not have to move a lot of resources. But you can use any champion here. Just put a shoot set on him on the first place. Just put a shoot set on him and an interesting aura. Lydia, any champion that can put decrease defense and weaken, and if he gives you buffs, even better. Even better. So Lydia is really good. Just take care about the HP burns. That's why he's in a shield set or a bolster set to help tank the damage of the HP burns also. I put the horse here to do a little bit more damage, but you can put, for example, a speed booster like Sifi or something like that, because you're going to explode with the seer, and it's going to work the same way. It's going to work the same way. The really important thing is the Urost and how he's built, and that's how what I'm going to show you is the key to make that happen. Why? This champion's passive, when he's attacked, he has a 50% of chance of placing a poison debuff on the attacker for 2 turns. And that's what we want. There is one more thing that's really important. Increases this champion max HP by 5% whenever an enemy receives a damage for a poison debuff placed by this champion. He will increase his max HP against bosses by a total of 50%, which gives him a lot of survivability to this boss. So what's important to beat this boss? These masteries. Copy these masteries because they are really valuable for these bosses. We want the extra healings. We want the extra AoE damage tankness. The healings. Never touch Wisdom of Battle, never, because it delays the battle a lot. Delay death is really important. The counterattack, it's good. I'm gonna explain why. And here, you want the sniper to the extra chance of landing the poisons. You want the master hexer to extend the poisons. You want the eagle eye to make it easier to reach the stats that I'm going to tell you. And you want the extra healing here. Extra health, extra healing. So that's really important to follow these masteries on him. As blessing, emergence heal is not mandatory, but is really safe to use it. Because Urost's passive is going, when you use the E1, he's going to proc a shield on himself. And when the boss breaks the shield, it regenerates a little bit of health on him. Is mandatory? No, it's not. But it's really safe to use. If you want, you also can put Brimstone to make the run faster a little bit. If you have that, it can be a little bit faster. But I prefer to use the emergence heal. In case an emergence happens, this helps you to return your life to the right amount. The most important thing here is that you need a golden elixir relic at least plus 12. Without that, you won't survive the proc of the blessing of the boss. That little undead skeletons that hit you after each hit of the boss, hit you 4 times. This golden elixir nullifies the damage of that skeletons if you have more than half of your HP, and heals you more than they do damage. So, golden elixir is mandatory to make that work, at least plus 12. And if you're able to have that 2 gemstones here, it helps a little bit. The purple one feels a little bit the turn meter when your HP drops below 50%, and that happens all the time. And the other one stacks a little bit of defense on you when you're hit by critical hits. That happens all the time also. So this is mandatory. And the third thing that is mandatory on him, it's to have 3 sets of Defiant set. 3 sets of Defiant, or 1 set of Stalwart and 1 set of Defiant. This is mandatory because you need to tank the AoE damage of the boss without receiving that much damage. For your HP level drop below 50, the golden elixir bring it back to higher than 50%. That's mandatory. You won't be able to do the run with safety if you don't have 3 sets of Defiant on him, or 1 set of Stalwart and 1 set of Defiant. It's really, 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 really important. What stats do you need on him? At least 100k HP. You don't need that much. You don't need that much. I made some tests, and 100k HP and the 3k defense is enough. With 100k HP and 3k defense is not going to fail. Speed doesn't matter. Anything here doesn't matter. Only HP, defense, and accuracy. You need at least 515 to land your debuffs. So, if you can use an accuracy aura like I'm using, you can drop these stats a little bit. If you have another strategy to boost your accuracy, you can use it too. For example, here I'm using an accuracy chest. I could use a defense one or a HP one because I have the accuracy aura on the bells. But I'm still using that in case I want to just remove the bells from the team. But what's mandatory on the Urost? 100k HP at least, 3k defense at least, and 515 accuracy at least. 3 sets of Defiant, and if you are able to, 1 piece of Revenge accessories or more, and 1 piece of Blood Shield. Why? If you are using the emergency heal blessing that I told you, that helps you to put the shield of the A1, because it lands a shield on the A1. That is huge, according to the amount of poisons on the enemy, that you're going to land 10. So you're going to land a huge shield. When he breaks the shield, he heals. And this blood shield and the revenge will make you counterattack, proc the shield, the boss goes there, break the shield, and he heals. It's just safe measures. This is not mandatory. The revenge and the blood shield is not mandatory, but helps you a lot. A lot. If you put that alongside the emergency heal, it will improve your success rate. In case something goes wrong, you take a lot of fears from the boss and take a lot of critical hits in a row. That's going to improve your success rate. Emergency heal and the revenge accessory and blood shield. So basically, reviewing, you need 4 champions to break the minions and make the boss transforms. I suggest you to use Lydia, Seer, and any other 2 champions. If you can put a useful aura like accuracy to make it easier to reach the amount of stats you need, better. Shield set and bolster set helps you to stay a little bit more safe when you're buffing because of the HP burn of the Vulcanus on the wave. It's really annoying and gives more buffs to the Seer to explode. Helps you survive and do more damage. If you can use a helpful aura like speed or accuracy aura, it helps you. Let me show you the build of all the champions I'm using. Basically, a damage dealing Marius. Just care about the speed. It needs to be over 300 and have damage. Lydia, she needs to be over 300, the first one to play. And needs the accuracy to land the debuffs. She's lacking the accuracy here. But I'm using the bells to bring the accuracy aura. And he's just with a bolster set. Just to help to improve the damage of the Seer. And it doesn't matter the speed on him. He's not doing any action. He's just dead to die. And the Seer, she needs to be over 300 speed. The last one to play between the horse and the Lydia. The Lydia first, the horse second, the Seer the third. She just needs to land some damage. She doesn't need to be incredibly powerful. A lot lower stats will work. And then Urost with these exactly stats that I describe you. At least 100k HP, at least 3k defense, at least 515 accuracy. If you're not able to do that much accuracy, you can use an accuracy aura, as I'm using here. And mandatory, you need the golden elixir plus 12. Use these masteries, and that's going to work. Let's see it once more. And it's going to be around 2 minutes, as you see here. Around 2 minutes. This is the first team that I wanted to show you. Oh, and the team setup. On bells, doesn't matter. On Lydia, only use the A2. On the horse, start with the A3, then the A2. The Seer, only use the A3. And the Urost, only A1. Lock the other two skills. You don't want to use the other two skills because the boss is going to steal anyway. So it's better to use the shield of the A1 because you're going to proc the blessing, the emergency seal. So lock everything, only A1 with Urost. Again, to show you the setup. And now let's go to another team. Similar, that I want to show you. Let's say you don't have a Urost. Let's say you don't have the stats to make the Urost team, but you have a Galos. It also works with the Galos, with the same strategy, but a lot easier stats. Because on the Galos, we don't need books, we don't need masteries, we don't need blessings, we don't need accuracy, we don't need speed, we don't need that much HP. You just need to throw the Galos there with a golden elixir relic plus 12 and block the Galos skills to only stay on the first form and only use his A1. So it's the same team, same strategy, but using a Galos as the champion to solo the boss. The champions are going to go there, destroy the boss is going to transform. He's going to destroy us. And Galos, on his first form, he has a reflect and a heal as passive. So when the boss is hitting us, he's taking the damage back as reflect. As you can see, he's taking the damage from his own damage Look, he's hitting us, but he's getting damaged by his own hit. And Galeo's passive plus the golden elixir, it doesn't matter the set you use, he's going to survive. So you just need to throw like 60k, 70k HP, and that's it. He's going to be there, surviving the boss, reflecting the boss on damage, and that's it. If you can put on him brimstones to drop the meteor here and there, it's going to accelerate the run. Sometimes you hit the boss, and the brimstone is going to drop and accelerate the run. And otherwise, it's just you just need to wait, because the boss is going to be killed by his own damage due to the reflect. You're not going to die because of the passive, and it's just a matter of time. The boss is going to kill himself. And this is also 100% chance of winning. It never fails, and it's a lot easier on stats to do. 4 champions and off. Here, put him on bolster set just to help the seer to explode the waves. But you don't even need that. You just need the golden elixir and keep him on the first one, because his passive is going to do the job. Plus the golden elixir. I'm going to show you the stats. It takes a little bit more time than the Urost, but it's also going to work. The boss kills herself by her own damage due to the reflect, and you're unkillable because of the healing of your passive plus the healing of the golden elixir. Okay, Galeos team is around 3 minutes. As you can see, Galeos does all the damage to the boss. It's the same strategy as before. We want these 3 champions to kill the minions and make the boss transform, and we want Galeos to solo it. Let me show you Galeos build. I just took the build that was on the bells on the last team and throw on him. He does not have masteries. He's booked, but he does not need to be booked. He needs the golden elixir plus 12. It's mandatory. And he needs to stay on the first form. This is the stats that I'm using on him. 130k HP. You don't need that. You don't need that. You just 70k is going to be enough. You're not going to die. You're going to deflect the damage, and everything else is going to be alright. Nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. You don't care. If you can drop the defense, is even better, because the higher the damage you take, the more damage you reflect. So if you put higher amounts of HP and lower amount of defenses, he's going to take more damage and the run is going to be faster. Another thing that helps you is if you have brimstone, sometimes you're going to land a hit on the boss and you're going to drop the brimstone, and that's going to make the run faster. But everything you need is the golden elixir and 70k HP at least. The other things doesn't matter. Why? Because of his passive on the first form. He reflects 50% of the damage this champion receives back to the attacker. If the attacker is a boss, reflects 100% of the damage and heals by 50% of the damage received. So that healing plus the golden elixir healing makes him unkillable through these because of this boss mechanic. You just need to let it there. So basically, you just need a decent amount of HP on Galos for him not to be killed by the AoE, and you let it there. Throw it there, it's going to solo the boss. As you can see, around 4 minutes, the Urost team is faster. The Galos team is slower, but it's easier to make the build, for sure. It's a mythical champion, not everybody's going to have. Urost is a free champion that you just need to climb the Dune Tower to get it. Most of the players that are playing for long enough should have him right now. So these are the first two teams that I wanted to show you to form the event dungeon. And now we're going to a more extreme version of team. Let's go. Okay, the third team that I want to showcase is totally different from the other two that I just showed. I would like to call the first two budget strategies. For sure, a mythical champion is not a budget thing, but the strategy, it was the budget one. This one that I'm going to showcase now, it's a lot more aggressive, let me say like that. Is a fast farming team, 4 seconds farm, and a lot more gear intensive, champion intensive. There's no replacement for the things, or you reach the minimal amount of stats that are extremely high, or it won't work, or it will fail a lot. So if you don't have the specific champions, or if you want to change any champion or any gear or any stats, you're gonna need to retune everything on the team, because these kind of teams works with fine-tuning. If you change millimetrical things, the teams will fail. So let me showcase you the team. It is this team here. It uses these 5 champions in this exact order, with these exact blessings, with this exact... I'm going to show everything to you, but how it works. This way. This way. This fast. You buff, you buff, you buff, you buff, you nuke. Boom. The splash of the Wukong kills the boss through hitting the Mortal Macabre. But to make that happen is not easy, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So, let me run it again in slow motion, explaining every little detail of the run. Here we have the Wukong as a source of damage. He's the champion that is going to use the E2 on the Mortal Macabre, kill it, and splash the damage to kill the boss. To make that happen, we need a lot of damage to be dealt. And he alone isn't able to do that. That's why we bring the whole team to make it possible. So the Fina, this champion here, is in 9 protections pieces. So every buff she lands on the team gives you 5% more damage. So she starts the run buffing the Wukong with 6 buffs. As you can see, she delivers 6 buffs on him, which gives him 30% more damage. The block damage will prevent him from dying from the HP burn. At the same time, She lands increase attack to boost his damage, increase critical damage, and increase critical hate. So while we are using that, we can build him with only 70% critical hate, which makes it easier to bring the amount of damage we need. So Fina is mandatory. 6 buffs, 30% more damage, and very important damage dealing buffs: increase attack, increase critical damage, and increase critical hate. After she does that, we have 2 champions that are here to put more buffs and to put our damage higher. The first one is Firo. This one that is going to play right now. On his passive, that is here, if we have 4 or more buffs, the champion will do 20% more damage. So on the Wukong, we're gonna have that. And Firo is also built in 9 protection set. So every buff he gives you more 5% damage. So he's going to also buff. After it came the Gerb Tuck that just played. The Gerb Tuck landed 1 debuff on the enemy, that is the block buff, and 3 poisons on us. His passive makes us do 7.5% more damage for each poison we have landed by him. So this is going to also boost her damage by 22%. These 3 poisons. But we are also having a masteries on the Wukong that for every debuff we got until the maximum of 4, look, he have 4, 1 HP burn and 3 poisons, he gets more damage. So every little detail here counts. If you can put the Gerb Tuck on 9 pieces of Pharaoh set, it will boost your damage even more. Then it comes the Bellanor. Why the Bellanor? Because between his faction, he's the only champion with decreased defense and weaken. That is void affinity, so makes it easier to land it on everybody here, his debuff, and is able to do good amount of damage while doing it. Why? Because we need the faction of this champion to be a high elf, so the Fina can have the extra turn to use 6 buff instead of 3 in the beginning of the run. And we want him, while doing his damage, he will land the decreased defense, the weaken, and he's also going to drag the HP of the Mortal Macabre to lower than half of the HP. This is extremely important, because the Mortal Macabre is not the wrong affinity to the Wukong. The Vulcano is the good affinity to the Wukong attack. Also the Whittier. So if the Mortal Macabre is not with half or less of his HP, the Wukong will not target the Mortal Macabre and the run will fail. So we want the Bellanor to take at least half of the HP of the Mortal Macabre with his damage, so the Wukong goes there and target him and kills the run. All this preparation is made for this purpose. So these things happen in this order to make it work. And as you can see, it works in a few seconds. But all these things need to be in the right place to happen. All the stats needs to be there, all the damage, all the sets. And I'm going to show everything to you. Because if a little thing is misplaced, it's not going to work. First, let's start with the Fina. Fina is the first one to play. And we need her in 9 pieces of protection set. So her speed needs to be the fastest between the champions that are going to play. I suggest you at least 350 or 330. 330 or higher speed on her. 9 protection set. It doesn't matter the other things. You just need her to be 9 protection set with 330 or more speed. That's everything you need on her. It doesn't matter the masteries, it doesn't matter the blessings. If you can have her in the Journal of Necrotus as a relic, it helps you improve your speed. With that, you just need the speed that I'm going to show you. If you don't have that, you need higher speed. So that's everything you need about Fina. You need her in 9 protection. Doesn't matter the masteries, doesn't matter the blessings. You need her with Journal of Necrotus to improve your speed. That's the first champion. Second champion, Hero. You just need him in 9 protection sets also. It doesn't matter the masteries. It doesn't matter the blessing. It doesn't matter the relic. Only need him to be 9 protections and to be the second or the third one to play. That's what matters. So if the fine is 330, you want him 320. Let's say that. So Fina 9 protection, Furol 9 protection. Gertuk, the best set for him, it's 9 Pharaoh. I don't have 9 Pharaoh for him, but you get more 5% if you have 9 Pharaoh. For Gertuk, if you have 9 pieces of Pharaoh set, is the best option. I don't have, so I went this way. On this champion, if you have 9 Pharaoh, you want to land your debuff, so you want him to have accuracy, at least 515. If you don't have 9 Pharaoh, just put him in any set that you want. Any set that you want. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the masteries. It doesn't matter the blessings. It doesn't matter the relic. It doesn't matter the set. Just need the speed. He needs to be the second or the third one to play. So 9 protections on the Fina, first one to play. 9 protection on the Furo, second or third one to play. Any set on the Gertuk, second or third one to play. But if you have him in 9 Pharaoh, you need accuracy on him, and it's better. And now there is the key. Balanor is mandatory to have him with a lot of damage. So I did a lot of tests. It's unreplaceable. You need him to have, at the same time, a lot of accuracy, a lot of speed, and a lot of damage. And needs to be Balanor because you want a high elf champion to be able to get the extra turn from the Fina here. So it needs to be Balanor. So if you have him with a higher blessing, it makes it easier because Crushing Hand is going to help you to do more damage. So this minimum stats that you can have on him, it is this 7.7k attack, 284 speed, 70% critical rate because of you using Fina, 342 critical damage, and 476 accuracy. These are the masteries that we are using on him. Why I am not using Helm Smasher? Because Helm Smasher adds a lot of variation to the damage, and we are trying to farm consistently. So variation is not something that we can count. We need the minimum damage to be enough. We don't need a damage to be sometimes good, sometimes bad. We need the minimum damage to be there all the time. So I went here for the extra accuracy. So I went with Eagle Eye and went with every little extra damage that I could. The critical damage, the extra damage here, the extra damage here, the extra damage here. Stoke of the Fury is mandatory because of the Gertuk. The extra damage from Brigand Down, the extra damage of Single Out. And that's it. You need these masteries. If you have a 4-star, 6-star Balanor that is easier for you to reach the stats, you can take away Eagle Eye and you can put Flawless Execution to get you easier damage. I don't have that stats, that's why I went with Eagle Eye. You need, as Blessing, to be Crushing Hand. Higher stars, the better, because it's going to give you more damage to the boss because of the ignore defense, and to the Mortal Macabre because of the ignore defense. That is mandatory. The Relic, I used on him the Cat's Gaze, and for that you want the maximum amount of damage you can. The Cat's Gaze, it's really important for that because helps him to ignore more defense, and he's going to need that because you need the HP level of the Mortal Macabre to be lower than the half for that to work. And these gemstones here help a lot. These gemstone here, the dungeon one, is the most important gemstone to make these runs possible. If you have that, it makes your life a lot easier because you're going to do a lot more damage. So take advantage of this yellow stone here because this is an event dungeon, and to do 10% more damage on an event dungeon is really good. Makes it a lot easier. So the Cat's Gaze on him, 2 damage dealing gemstones, and a very high damage dealing gemstone here. Use it. On the sets, you need him at least 6 pieces of Merciless with that stats to make it possible. So that's what we have on Balanor. Every single amount of damage we could put on him, we put. And now the star, Wukong. There is a lot of little details that we want to pay attention on the Wukong. First, he needs to be 6 pieces of Merciless at least. Not necessarily 2 pieces of Zeal, but it helps. So, you want a lot of damage on the Wukong. So he needs to target the Mortal Macabre, kill the Mortal Macabre, and splash a very big amount of damage. 5 million plus to kill the boss. And to do that, we need these exactly masteries on him, because we want the most amount of damage we can put. On him, we can provide the Helm Smasher because the extra damage is helpful. Here, is this support tier 3 is just here for the Lord of Steel. We just need the Lord of Steel out of all these things here. And on the offense side, we want exactly this one is here. We want Stoked the Fury to get the most amount of damage from the Gerptug, and every little detail of the extra damage here. These are the masters of the Wukong. If my Wukong is +0 and only have 4 stars, so I'm using Heaven Cast on him since he's getting 8 buffs on him. So that's going to multiply the damage on him by 8%, which is good. But the best option, if you have a higher amount of stars, it is Crushing Hand. If you have many stars, go for Crushing Hand. Is going to be optimized. If you have the 5 or the 5th or the 6th star, go for Crushing Hand. It's going to be better damage. Okay? As Relic, this one, Gorkor is really impactful on him. It's better than the Cat's Gaze for this champion in particularly, because you're going to splash the one champion and kill the others, and it's going to multiply your damage more to the boss. So the best relic for him is the Gorkor, and if you're able to use these gemstones on him, it's better to have 2 of the legendary damage on the dungeons than have this mythical. I'm using only this mythical because I don't have another one. But the legendary one's better. If you have 2 legendary ones, it's better. You're going to do more damage. And this one that if nobody have taken a turn, you do 10% more damage, also helps you to destroy the Mortal Macabre easier and deliver more damage. So every little detail counts towards the result, because we're playing with the edge. If we don't play in the right moment, with the right amount of damage, we're not going to be able to target the right champion and to kill the right champion. So every little detail of damage counts. The Wukong has as stats 8.3k attack, 253 speed, at least 70% critical hit, 431 critical damage. That's what matters for him. On merciless set, 6 pieces and 2 pieces of zeal. These are the minimum amount of stats that you need to reach to be able to go there and one-shot the boss really quick. If you have lower than that, it's going to fail. If you don't have enough damage on the Bellanor, it's going to fail because the Mortal Macabre is not going to lose half of the HP and you're not going to target him with the Wukong on auto. If you don't land your debuffs, it's going to fail because you're not going to be able to kill the Mortal Macabre and splash enough damage. So every little detail counts towards the result. If a single team fails, the run fails. So it's a lot more extreme builds, a lot more of details, a lot more of fine-tuning. If you don't have a single one of these champions, there are replacements. For the Firo or the Gurtuk, there is Badalkazar. You can use Badalkazar. Instead of Firo, you can use Badalkazar. Instead of the Gurtuk, you can use Badalkazar. So for these two, there are replacements. For the other three, there is not. There is not. If you change a team, you need to fine-tune the team again. For example, if you don't have Fina, but you have Shuzan, you can use a similar team, but it's better for you to replace Bellanor for something more efficient. You need to change the build of the Wukong because it's not going to need speed. So you need another fine-tuning. If you don't have Wukong, you want to use Siegfried. It's going to work only if you have the mythical relic, the Death Dealer. So if you change one piece, you need to fine-tune again. Okay, so if you don't have exactly the same champions, you need to tune the team again according to the new situation. But if you have them, and you can reach this kind of stats, this is the kind of result that you're going to have. So let me show you the setup. Here, Wukong needs to be the lead for the Fina to target him as the buff target. So you're going to lock day 3, only day 2. He's going to use, these are the stats that he have. You can see here on the right. The fastest champion of the comp, I'm using Fina. You're going to start with day 3, then you're going to use day 2. These are the stats of the Fina. The second fastest champion to play that I have is Firo. You're just going to use day 3. These are the stats of the Firo. The third fastest champion to play is going to be the Gurtuk. You're going to only use day 3. These are the stats of the Gurtuk. The fourth fastest champion to play is the Bellanor. You're going to only use day 2. These are the stats of the Bellanor. Remember, Bellanor needs accuracy, Bellanor needs speed, and Bellanor needs a lot of damage. Oh, this is not enough accuracy to land the debuffs. Yes, you're right. You need 515, at least, or 513. But we have the passive of the Firol here to give us more 50% more fifth accuracy because of the amount of buffs we have, okay? So every little detail, as I said, every little detail counts towards the result. We are taking advantage of these little accuracy boosts here for Bellanor to reach the amount of accuracy he needs to land his debuffs perfectly, okay? And here's the Wukong. As I said, Wukong is in 2 pieces of Zeal set, 6 pieces of Merciless, using a Gore Crescent Relic, and using the damage gemstones based on the dungeon damage. Fina is in 9 protection pieces. Firol is in 9 protection pieces. Gerbtuck, it's better to be in 9 Pharaoh pieces with decent amount of accuracy to land the debuffs, but I don't have him, so he's in random sets. And Bellanor, it's on 6 pieces of Merciless, using a Cat's Gaze relic with the gemstones to give more damage to dungeons. Every little detail here counts towards the result. So that's the teams that I wanted to present you. Hope you're able to build one of them and take advantage of it to farm this event dungeon, because the PinPoint set is really worth. So thank you very much. If you like this kind of content, do not forget to, and as always, remember,
It's all about arena.